type of an employment contract did you have with Wings as far as recording and also with touring?
What type of an employment contract did you have with Wings?
The simplest employment contract I've ever had with anybody. It was just two paragraphs. Actually, I think it was just one paragraph. It basically said, you will do this exclusively for 1 year and you will be paid this for doing it. Thank you very much. That was it. It was renewable every year and was renewed for 3 years.
It didn't matter. You got the same whether you were touring or recording?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
One thing I'd like to, sorry, one second. One thing I'd like to add to that, despite other members of the group, I was very satisfied with my salary.
So,
I read somewhere not too long ago that Linda McCartney has cancer.
she said about, yeah, Linda McCartney having breast cancer.
Yeah, that is true, unfortunately.
How is she doing?
Very well, I understand. It is the main reason I believe, although it's not official, that Paul didn't tour with Flaming Pie. And, you know, I was very sad to hear about that, and I just, I wish her all the best. You know, it's a very hard thing to go through. Several of my friends have various forms of the disease, and it's really, you know, it's really saddening experience. That I can fully understand why he just closed off. So I really haven't, from the day that was diagnosed, I've had no personal contact with him, and I expressed that.
How long ago was that?
The diagnosis, I'm not sure. I first heard about it about 2.5 years ago. Summer '95. There we go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Please do.
She said she was with Paul this past Wednesday night, right, in New York, and she looked good.
Yeah, she looked great in Paris too for the opening of the daughter's show. It's great.
Yes, sir, in the back.
How was Paul after he lost out to the bid to Michael Jackson? How was he when he lost the rights to a lot of the Beatle compositions?
Paul didn't buy the rights to his Beatle material, and Michael Jackson did. Did he ever say anything about that to you?
Well, I wasn't actually working with him or in close contact at the time that went down. I actually thought that it would be impossible for him to buy it because it's always been made impossible for him to buy it back. I had a suspicion because they had worked together that perhaps Michael was buying it on his behalf. That's what I hoped, but it, it wasn't the case. And, you know, he was done out of it again. But, you know, I would imagine he was deeply hurt by that, to tell you the truth.
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't you be able to buy it?
Why wouldn't Paul be able to buy it?
Because if it was common knowledge that he wanted to purchase it, it would be priced out of his range. Because people know his worth, so it is worth. It's you know, a matter of public record. So knowing how much you want for it, they just push the price beyond any reasonable option.
Yes, sir, in the back. Besides Paul McCartney and Wings and Elton John, who else have you played with?
Well, the older I get, starting to look like a who's who of rock and roll, but I've worked with lots of people peripherally and lots of people directly. Joe Cocker, Julian Lennon, Kiki Dee, Tommy Shaw, recently with Junior Brown, currently with G. Smith from the Saturday Night Live band. We have a PBS special coming out on The Life of Muddy Waters with a whole host of guests. We look for that early in the new year. And I just, countless others. It's almost 700 recordings at this point in time. And I can't name everybody, but I try to bring the same amount of professionalism to everything I do, whether it's just a record I know is just being made for fun or something that could potentially sell millions. All I ever try and do is just approach it the same way. So, like dozens of artists at this point. Some you'd know, some you wouldn't. Junior Brown from Austin, Texas, which is a lot of fun if anybody heard a song, My Wife Thinks You're Dead. I played on that record, I'm proud to say. It won Country Video of the Year last year and was a Grammy-nominated album. That was the first recording I ever made in Nashville, so that was a long way for a schoolboy from London. But yeah, I just continue to make records, and I feel very lucky to be able to play drums and do it. I was 5 years old when I started to play drums, and that's all I ever wanted to do. Thankfully, I can still do it.
Yes. What was one of the hit songs in the band with Paul?
Coming Up, remember that? Arrow Through Me, Good Night Tonight. Huh? You have all those? Good for you.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever have any formal training as a drummer, or did you teach yourself?
Did you ever have any formal training as a drummer, or are you self-taught?
I actually had 4 years of piano, from 8 to 12. Actually, the acoustic piano is officially a percussion instrument. So that helped me immeasurably, because a lot of drummers might know how to play the instrument, but they don't know how to focus a song, or what the sections are, or keys, or transitions, or modulation stuff, which to me, I understood. So I think that was a huge difference in my approach to playing drums. But my earliest influences, my father was a saxophone player, had a big band. My mother was the singer in the band, and my next door neighbor when I was 5 years old was the drummer in the band. So as far as the formal education, I always used to go to him and say, please teach me how to play the drums. And he said, as soon as you can reach the pedals. And I can remember clear as a bell, sitting on the stool there, I just couldn't quite reach them. But when I could reach them, he did teach me for about 2 years. And till I got to a point very rapidly where he said he couldn't really teach me anything else. And he gave me to another teacher who I hated. Chain smoke, weed, cigarettes, and I wasn't interested. So at that point I kind of went my own way, which was about the age of 12. And from there on I just listened to as much as I could. And funnily enough, I learned a lot of bad habits. It's like playing tennis. It's very hard to undo the bad habits, so you have to make the best of them, and I've got a lot of them.
Yes, sir, in the back. Any stories for orchestra session?
Yeah, some funny, some. David Gilmour's performance was one of my favorite things on it, because I'm a big fan of David Gilmour, and if anybody's not familiar with him, he's the lead guitar player with a group called Pink Floyd, and he was one of the guitarists on the sessions, we had, after everybody had left, we sat there with the tapes. It was also the first multi-track recording where they'd been able to synchronize two 24-track machines. It was a system developed by the BBC and Holley. And we were able to listen to each player's individual performance. And when we got to David, I was listening to all the guitars, and I thought, I wonder what David played. Well, you hear the count off, and he hits a D, a drone, and that is all he plays. He sustains the D throughout the entire performance. Just plays one note, which I thought was astounding, you know. That was fun. One of the sad points about it was we were all taking the mickey out of Plonk Lane's bass playing, thinking that he was drunk, which of course we found out later he had MS, and that was affecting his play. So that was kind of a sad thing. John Bonham wasn't with us for much longer after that. Keith Moon was supposed to have been a drummer on the session, and we postponed the session initially because he passed away. So there were some down parts about it, but it was a lot of fun too. It was also filmed like wildlife, which somebody made. That was Paul's idea, to conceal cameras in the studio. So there's a great scene with Pete Townsend saying something like, "What the hell is this? Is a piece of, you know." So there's a lot of pocket conversations in every song. It was a fun day. It was a long, fun day.
Okay, sir.
Do you still keep in contact with Denny Lane? Has there ever been talk of a reunion of any kind between you and he and Paul? Is that possible?
Are you still in contact with Denny Lane? And is there any talk of, I guess we talked about this ourselves, a Wings reunion? No.
I was going to let Mike handle that. Yeah, the thing is, yes, I am in contact with Denny. In fact, Denny, Lawrence and I played at the Beatle Fest at the Meadowlands Hilton earlier this year, impromptu. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to be there. Denny actually had the audacity at one point to go to Paul recently and ask if he could use the name Wings, and Wings 2 he wanted to call it, and go out with him. And Paul was very, very, very nice about it, and I'm surprised he was so civil about it, and his reply was, "The only reason I would object to you using the name Wings is that I may want to use it again myself one day." which kind of left the door open, I suppose. But, you know, I mean, it's something I would love to do because, to be honest, I was 23 years old and I was very, very cocksure of myself and I didn't really know what I was doing. But now I feel like I know enough to do a good job, so it would be great to do that again. But
There's not really a big rift between Paul and Danny Lane.
no, I think that's all absolved.
Yes, sir, right.
What is the recommendation you'd make to an amateur musician studying one instrument, let's say guitar, for instance, a couple of years? Would you recommend that that amateur stick to the one instrument or diverse a little, like say the drums?
I think with music, there's no limit to how much you can know and how much you can improve and how much another instrument will improve your performance on your primary instrument. I do, yeah.
It would help the other one.
I believe so. I believe playing piano helped me be a better drummer. I believe...
You're a very good drummer.
Well, thanks. Thank you, I appreciate that.
You think he's a very good drummer? I do. Yes, ma'am. Some musical influences, and you heard the question.
Yeah. You're close enough for me to hear that well, mine. Playing drums all these years, my ears off. I listen to just about everything, and I qualify by saying that to me, there are only two types of music. It's good or it's bad, and it doesn't matter to me what the genre is. I can appreciate just about everything. I'm sorry, I forgot the other part of the question. Yeah, I dabble in production. I have a studio in the city. I have a production company. It's a beautiful studio, and I don't own it. I couldn't afford that. It's a fantastic place. As a matter of fact, I have Patti Scialfa and Bruce Springsteen in there right now, so it's a beautiful place, and a lot of people are going to be coming through there. And I do write songs very slowly, and I had an album released on IRS Records back in 1988 with a group called Reckless Sleepers, where I co-wrote every song on the record. But I'm not a very prolific writer, you know. I think to me it's like an album. If I ever put an album out with my name on it, it would be more like an autobiography. It would take my whole life to produce one record.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't. I'm surprised you know the record, but thanks. Try to Please Her was. It actually wasn't a reference to the Beatles. It was a reference to one of Jules's ex-girlfriends.
Yes, sir.
Besides Paul, who inspired you most to get into music? A drummer or a musician that you really had a person in mind that wanted you to play music?
Someone I'd like to play with that question?
Could you repeat that?
Who inspired you the most?
Oh, we got two people here trying to... Me with the hat first.
Who inspired you the most?
Who
Made you get into music?
Who inspired you the most, made you get into music?
The very first record that struck me was, I'd listened to all kinds of soul and Finnegan's, all kinds of classical music and Stan Getz and all the big band stuff with my parents, but the first music that really pricked my ears up was Chuck Berry's No Particular Place to Go. The first time I heard that record, I lost my mind. I was 6 or 7.